Yeah, this is incredible. I mean, we've been live for 5.5 hours. The people are loving it. The people are supporting. We got the doc joining.
Oh, yeah.
This won't be. We're going to talk to the doc. We're going to save a lot of the juicy stuff for Wednesday, but I just want to get Doc's just kind of where his head's at. Today.
Just chat it up. We don't have to do anything. Just have a conversation. Just have fun.
Let's just talk to the doc. Let's get him in here. Mr. John Maakaron covers the Detroit Lions and Sports Illustrated. Do I have to introduce the guy? I mean, he's apparently in the background. He's on television. He might go Hollywood. There's talks, there's negotiations joining the Michigan State basketball staff. I mean, he's a wanted commodity.
That's crazy.
Mr. John Maakaron. John, how are you doing, brother?
Fellas, what's going on? 5 hours. I'm proud of you guys. You guys are hanging on, waiting to see what goes on. It figures right. Brad Holmes might make another signing like at 10:30. But real fast, Lucas, what's going on?
Hey, Doc.
You're looking a little butthurt. What's the deal, brother?
Yeah. Hey, shout out to you, Doc. I appreciate the support there. Appreciate the article.
I mean, talk about bringing down the vibe. I mean, Derek Barnes, the free agent signing linebacker that they brought him back. And there's Lucas out there crapping all over it. And
that's tough.
Man, that was tough.
Crapping all over.
I actually consulted. I'm like, do you write at this? I'm like, you know what? He actually replied to you guys. So it was a fair, legitimate topic. And listen, man, I'm proud of you guys. You guys are sharing your opinions, and there's a lot of things to be said. And that's the number one thing is if you got something to say it. And you get more respect for doing that than carrying anyone's water. For sure.
It's tough. 48 hours later, Klotz has been proven wrong instantly with Robert Spillane signing a $13 million a year contract. Instantly proven wrong from Klotz,
apparently.
Yeah.
No. You look at it and you say there's a lot of good talk about that when you have a guy like Derek Barnes. They ask him to do a lot of things. But Lucas had a good point, which is you need more talent to get over the hump. These teams are not just going to gift you a Super Bowl. So you need talent all across the board. And Derek Barnes has some limitations, but he does a lot of good things as well for that defense. So I could see where you could say, well, could you get more athletic, somebody a little bit more adept in coverage, a little bit better across the board? Guys, remember, this is the NFL. Bigger, stronger, faster. They're the athletes that are showing up in college and in free agency are unreal. But typically the strategy is, in free agency, is that if you're going out and getting a lot of guys in free agency, maybe your team is not that good. So I know it's free agency frenzy, but Sports Illustrated told you, I told you, the free agency class is not all that great to begin with, and they got to go out there and plug a couple holes. And I think they probably will, maybe not tonight, but I do think that maybe the offensive line might be an area they target as well. But kind of a quiet day, but still a good day, at least to replace Carlton Davis, who I think got Carlton Davis got himself paid, man. First and foremost, too, guys, remember that just because the general manager pays a J.C. Horn that money doesn't mean he's worth it. So that's why there's not a lot of great GMs in this league to try and find good talent and then value. Brad's in the mix. I just think he needs to be a little bit more aggressive with the talent. But you can't knock the team for how it's been going so far, 15 wins. But I do think they get a little bit of credit for 15 wins. They're going to try to run it back. But, yeah, when you start with – I would have just said, hey, Marcus, look, we're going to sign you, but we're just going to let it ride for a couple of weeks. You're our guy, but we're not going to announce that first. We're not going to announce that on one of the first signings. Like, come on. And today when he talked, he did not want to talk. Like, he just was – pretty serious. Like, I just want to kind of prove what I'm about. And that was about it.
He's a quieter, little antisocial type of guy.
Yeah. More business-like. When you get him one-on-one, he's a little more open to talk, but in that group setting, he was not down. He was like, all right, I'm good, guys. Bye.
Yeah, at the end, he's like, am I free?
Am I free? I'm out.
I can't believe that out of all of the only edge that they've addressed so far is just Marcus Davenport. Like, that's the most shocking. And I know, Brad, be patient, be patient. That's just still the most shocking thing in the world for me.
Look, it's not shocking because I think the Kuntz contract was probably going to be the max you would ever do was a year deal on a prove-it guy. Because, guys, the draft class is so deep, and you have an opportunity to get two good defensive linemen. And unfortunately, you guys we got to keep it realistic that there's only so many dollars. Aiden's getting getting $40 million a year, and Kirby is going to get a hefty contract. So it's one of those deals. If you're a wrestling fan, it's kind of funny. I joke around, Heyman guys. If you're a wrestling fan, Paul Heyman, he's a world famous manager, and he's got his guys. That means that they're over and they're popular. Well, Brad has his guys, and his guys are those that he drafts. So if you're drafted, if you're a Brad Holmes guy and you get drafted, there's a chance big money's coming your way. If you're an outsider, if you're, someone coming from the outside, you might not be so prone to get the fat dollars from Brad because, they do a lot of work and investment on their own draft picks, their own people. So he was damn near in tears talking to a team reporter, talking about how much he loves his own guys. And those guys get rewarded. And if you at least produce Derek Barnes, Kirby Joseph, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Aiden Hutchinson, that's a lot of mouths to feed and many more to come. But I until they don't have a period of success in the regular season, it's hard to argue with draft and develop. But I know everybody's wondering, okay, are these moves enough to get them over the hump? I sit here going, I would like one or two more pieces, but I could see where the draft, the model that the Lions are using, has a chance to be successful. And you got to remember too, guys, there was a lot. There's still more stuff going on. It's still early. So I'm not, mailing it in. It's still a good day. You picked up DJ Reed. You replaced Carlton Davis. But yeah, at this point in time, it stinks too when every 5 minutes it's like Broncos and Commanders and Bears and stuff like that. But everyone's making moves. It's
at least the Eagles are quiet today. Chiefs are for the most part quiet today. I feel like, to your point, what you were saying earlier, I feel like the Commanders, because they were so ahead of schedule, they got that rookie quarterback, like they're in a position where they can go out and sign. But to your point, if you're out there making a move like the Patriots,
and the Patriots,
is that a good one?
Yeah, so and look, it's early. It's still early. There'll be some moves to be made, but guys, the Super Bowl for the Lions is the draft, and it's gonna be that way for, I think, the foreseeable future. The big dollars are not going to be for free agents. It's just not the way the Lions are going to roll, because it's a lot of work too. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of negotiating. It does kind of stink though, because to me, and then, I'm pessimistic, I kind of feel like the Lions, when they get the call from a free agent, their agents kind of like using the Lions to just kind of get a little bit more money from someone else. They kind of using the Lions as the number 2 option or the negotiating ploy. Because it's pretty clear the Lions and the free agents, they're not giving out, big time dollars to free agents when they have so many. I think everyone knows it. And so I think that it would have been intriguing to see, what they'd really tried to offer Carlton Davis, because he wakes up today and he's like, jackpot, JC Horn,
20 million.
Jesus, Carl, you can't pay that for Carlton Davis. I like Carlton Davis. I'm more of a individual that likes bigger cornerbacks, but I'm okay with DJ Reed. But it's one of those things with him. I gave it a B+. Sports Illustrated also has been grading every single move. You can check out SI.com. They're grading every move, and I'm just grading the Lions moves. And we both graded a B+. It's not he's not a world beater. He's not like a lockdown cornerback, but I think in a mix, opposite of Terrion, you guys, we got to just hope that Terrion and Ennis Rakestraw kind of develop in year 2. But what I think DJ Reed can do is he can be a stabilizing force, pass breakups, be very competitive and physical. I think that you just get a competitive, I'm curious. I know everyone says that, hey, DJ Reed played a lot of zone with the Jets, but his game translates when you look at it on film. I just watched a couple games while at the office. It just kind of looks like, he's somebody that is a professional cornerback. I think if you get him in the right system with the right defensive line, he can make plays, but he's not going to shut down people. He's going to draw some flags. He's a little bit against better competition, as all corners are, because it's impossible. He's a little bit handsy, so he's going to compete with Terrion to see how many flags they draw next year. But I do think he'll make plays. I think Saleh got a lot out of him, and I think that in Detroit, you got to give credit to Deshae Townsend. I think he'll do a good job developing these guys. But that money for a cornerback, I wouldn't even $16 million a year is some serious money for a defensive back when the receivers in this division are pretty sick. But you got to remember, Amik at his size was able to shut down Justin Jefferson. So it can be done, but you definitely at this point still need that key piece. Everyone's waiting. Who is that person
waiting
opposite
for
of Eden? It's not good enough. It's not good enough as we sit today. But it's still to me, if you rate the day, it was good, B- kind of day.
I did put it out there too, Doc, like on Twitter, like especially in the corner market right now. You saw JC Horn, what was it, 20-something million, whatever it was, 25, and then you see like Travarius Ward got 20 million a year. He got 60 mil as well. Carlton got 60 mil and 20. Paulson Adebo to the Giants, he got 18 million. And then you have DJ Reed, who ends up getting the lowest out of all of them. That's why I do think it's like a little bit higher of a grade for Brad, because if you probably rank the top 4 corners, I said the top 3, but like even if you go 4, these are all 4 guys that we've talked about on our show that everyone in the NFL is like, these are your top 4 corners in free agency. And you could almost argue maybe the 3 guys are all almost on a similar level when it comes to production. And Brad ends up getting one of them for 16 mil instead of 20, which is like, okay, that's probably the best deal that you could have gotten if you are looking at him. So that was where it's like, okay, here we go, Brad.
Yeah, I think that he was a name that everybody talked about as being one of the top cornerbacks. I think he'll fit. Look, the Lions have when they look at the free agents, they have a checklist. And one of them for sure is, hey, you make sure you play good against the run. Now, there were some games against better opponents that it wasn't as great, but playing with the Jets is challenging in and of itself. But his numbers are good. His numbers are good enough to warrant the contract that he got. Now, the question mark that everyone's going to wonder is, all right, if you're going to go in the draft, a rookie, you're not going to count on a rookie to just carry your football team. So I do see people wondering, well, why'd they cut Zadarius Smith? Well, you cut him because he's due, a bonus of $7 million, a cap hit. You didn't want to pay $11 million for a guy that you probably are going to assume his production is going to dip as he gets older. And it's a young man's game, guys. You're not paying these guys when they're getting up there in their mid-30s. And I know people wanted to see maybe what it looked like. Maybe they bring him back on a smaller deal, but I doubt it. I feel like for what you could do in the draft, you could get two edge rushers that can do the same kind of thing combined with Marcus Davenport. So we'll see. We'll see how collectively this defense looks. And I'm curious too, because we have yet to see how Calvin Shepard wants to deploy this defense. And I don't think they're going to blitz as much, but they're going to bring pressure. And I do think that, this defense has a chance to continue to shine. But yeah, it's not elite. It's not, as we speak, championship level, but you got to draft.
I don't think it's close.
No, it's getting there. It's getting there piece by piece. But you do need some development. You do need, some guys that you drafted to step up a little bit, and we shall see.
Doc, something to kind of flip to the other side of the football now, and I'm not sure if Jeff and Boone were talking about it before I joined, but I think something that can quietly kind of flip this offseason upside down is if Kevin Zeitler signs somewhere else, because he hasn't been brought to Detroit yet. What do you think is going to be made of the Kevin Zeitler? Do you think, he's going to be entering year 13. He announced that he's playing. When he made the post and everything, it seemed like it was going to be in Detroit, but day one, no Kevin Zeitler extension re-signing. What do you think is going to happen there?
Man, you see, I'm biased in that. Once you turn 30, 31, look, Taylor Decker, he's up and down a little bit. His contract doesn't make it so that you're going to make a move with him this year, but starting next year, you're going to hear whispers from people that I talk to. You're going to hear whispers. Maybe they're going to, make a decision on Taylor Decker, start to have the conversation, because you get some savings versus the dead cap. It's not worth it this year, but next year it might be something to look forward to talk about. Is Gio going to be ready this year? Probably not. But most people are thinking, okay, you flip over Penei Sewell and you have Manu play the right side, or you draft somebody this year. So I would not be shocked if the Detroit Lions drafted the replacement for Taylor Decker, a utility offensive lineman that can play tackle guard, that's athletic, that can do some things. I would not be surprised to see that. Now, Zeitler, look, he's a good player, but again, older. I'm not either way. I'm not committed. I'm not passionate either way. If he comes back, great. I think that you made a decision to bring in Mahogany. I thought he acclimated well, and I think he's going to be just fine to have that. I know the swing lineman is key. You probably can upgrade from Dan Skipper if you need to. The reserves can be upgraded. I'm curious to see. Remember, their own guys. What they think of Colby Sorsdahl as he continues to develop another offseason, what he could do. Awosika has been reliable in that spot too. As a starter, probably not, but I do think Graham Glasgow. Do you run it back with him again? I mean, he had a rough
piece, Doc. As a depth piece.
So I think Zeitler's one of the. I think if you ask me, I think that maybe he does come back, but I don't know. I'm not a fan of older players after 31, especially linemen in the trenches. I think that's a position from the age of 24 to 30 max, and you get your most opportunity. I know you get value from experience and things like that. And definitely Zeitler had a good year, but you start to break down. You start to, in critical moments, not be as ready to go as possible. It's a young man's game, and especially in the trenches.
Do you even think too? I brought this up just offensively, and maybe I said I'm crazy, but there was actually a lot of people in the chat who were on my side with this. Say Tim Patrick doesn't come back, and honestly, I think this might almost be a more realistic possibility. Lions go out and pursue a guy like. No, I'm just being serious because if you look at some of the signings from Brad, like the Marcus or not Marcus Davenport, the David Montgomerys, like the Kevin Zeitlers, like Brad goes out and gets dudes with names who are like in the league, and I think guys like Keenan Allen. We just saw Cooper Kupp is going to be released when the league year starts. What's another one? What's his name? Amari Cooper. Like there are these names out there who are looking for their next spot. And they're actually like, yes, they're big names, but they're actually guys who will make a difference. And they really are at the point of their careers. They don't need to get 1,000 yards. Like they just need to come in and produce and help win the Super Bowl. Those are three names that I said earlier, Doc, like mark those names and like keep an eye on them. Cause I wouldn't be shocked. Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if it came across my screen. Hey, the Detroit Lions just signed Cooper Kupp, or Keenan Allen's heading to Detroit. Dude, are you with that, or am I crazy?
Yeah, I think Tim Patrick, if he didn't get the opportunity yet, he's probably weighing a couple offers that he could potentially take. But I think Tim Patrick is your best option. I think that he wants to prove that he can stay healthy another season and do well. I think he fits. I think John Morton would love to have him here. So I would be a little bit surprised if he does depart. But it's all about the dollars and cents. It's all about who's going to make them that crazy offer. And there's a lot of GMs, you just need one team, one GM to be like, hey, I'm going to give you some money in additional years, and they take them off your hands. So I do think that, it's interesting too, when you look at what kind of, big bodied receiver I would have loved. And I know I got crapped on because of the money. I just wanted to shop. I was like, yeah, bring DK Metcalf. I'm like, Vito, just write that. And he's like, sure. And he made it.
30 mil, Doc.
I thought, when I said to Vito, I said, man, you're looking for that big body. Go after the biggest big body. And DK Metcalf, I know people feel like he's not a lion per se player, but I feel like in this system, a big bodied X like him that could benefit from Gibbs. And sometimes too, people always kind of have this narrow vision of a player based on what they've seen with another team. But when they come to this team with this recipe, you open things up because JMO will give him more lanes to run through, to have open lanes and opportunities. You have a great running game. That just makes everybody better. But his cost was just, again, too high. It's just too much. That contract, oh, my God. It's too much. You can't pay everybody. You can't do that. But, yeah, you're absolutely right, Booner. A role player, but I think Tim Patrick's the best option. And you can get some good receivers, too, in this draft. Remember, you're probably going to get 6-7 players, and 2 or 3 are going to be on the defense. You probably are going to add another wide receiver probably in this draft as well. But, yeah, if they go out and get a free agent, I think it's going to be a low-end deal, $4 to $7 million, maybe a prove-it deal. A lot of these receivers, are finding that, maybe these teams are starting to invest again in running backs. And we'll see how it plays out moving forward.
Because it'll be interesting. Do you think that, let's say they do bring back Tim Patrick, do you think they try to find that kind of predecessor to Tim Patrick? Because I'm assuming if they do bring back Tim, 1-2 years max, because if you let him go, like the Keenan Allens, like I'm not saying those are bad, but you're still looking for that big body type of receiver. So say they do bring Tim Patrick, where do you think in the draft they try to go to find that kind of wide receiver 4 or 5 to go with Khalif Raymond? Because Leaf, you're not going to put on the outside.
Right. You look to Iowa State, you look to where the, Stanford, you look to where some experience lies, to where some of the coaches were, Texas. They always got, the receiver class is interesting when you look at what's going on here. We did an article too just recently. My guy looked at someone from college. We do them regularly. We do these profiles, and I know it's funny too, because whenever we bring up offensive players, it's crazy. People are like, "Oh my goodness, you're looking up the offense. We need defense. We need defensive line." But my guy looked up Trey Harris. People think that he fits the mold. He's out of Ole Miss, so I would look at it from this perspective too. Where does Brad like skill players? The SEC. So I look at it, the South. They got good players. Check out his tape. We title him typically, "Hey, is Trey Harris the next receiver of the future?" He had a decent, collegiate career, and I look at it collegiately. With these wide receivers, it's one of those deals with Jared Goff. It takes time. It takes time. So no one is going to come in is going to have an immediate impact. That's why I'd go with the veteran. But, I feel like when we look at the opportunity for the traditional X, it's been interesting because they've tried. And I think Tim Patrick has the chance to continue to thrive. I think he's the prototypical, but bigger, stronger, faster. Why don't keep looking, keep stocking it? And it was interesting that they went with Allen Robinson last year, just to keep him on the practice squad. I feel like that spot could have been a little bit more competition out there. I'm disappointed because it was weird that you had two guys kind of in the mold of a Allen Robinson and a Donovan Peoples-Jones, but none of them really broke through to get a whole heck of a lot of playing time. So it'll be interesting to see which type of receiver they do bring in, but look to the South, look to the skill position, look to those opportunities. And again, maybe if it's another guy that I've seen that I liked, I don't know that the internet didn't like him too much. Little Jordan Humphrey kind of seems like he's a young 26-year-old.
Where did that come from, Doc? I don't hate the fit for like what he'd play, but just
because John Morton was there. John Morton was there, so he knows them. So you look at it and you say, okay, a lot of times you start with the premise of where are the players at that the former coaches were at. So John Morton was at Denver, so he had a chance to see what he could bring to the table. And then you say, okay, he at least understands what Morton would want to bring. And I thought that, when you look at some of the opportunities that he's got, size, young speed, the frame that he's got kind of fits what you're looking for. So it's interesting, but we shall see how the Lions look on offense. I don't think it's going to be a major priority outside of the trenches, but if you just saw, our tracker is live. They brought in an outside name there from a running
That was
back.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was interesting to see a running back brought in for an official visit as the second one reported outside of the Georgia linebacker. But check it out. Our tracker, we're updating live every single day who's visiting. And now there's two names on the pre-draft top 30 visit list. But, somebody that could be interesting as a special teamer.
Man. Oh.
Boone?
No, Jeff's back. I thought he had something. He just popped in out of nowhere.
Yeah, the bladder here. I've been holding the bladder for a while.
Yeah, that was a long
5 hours, guys. My God. What have you guys been talking about? What did you guys talk about? You talked about Reed. What did you guys talk about over these 5 hours?
We've just been chatting it up.
I mean, we talked all the I mean, we've been really talking every NFL transaction, essentially. I mean, we talked about re-signing guys. I know you. I mean, like when the
which name bummed you out when you saw? Of course, Kuntz. I love that deal, Raiders 1 year prove it deal. I reached out to the guy's agent, didn't reply back to say, hey, did the Lions reach out?
You were early. You told us Kuntz like 2 weeks ago, and then
he got a 1 year prove it deal. He wanted to stay with the Las Vegas. I felt that was a perfect number for the Lions. 1 year prove it deal for a guy, but he's coming off of a bad injury too. That's a rough injury. So we'll see which name when it went off the board bummed you guys out.
Mine was for sure Paulson Adebo, Doc.
Yeah, that was like a lot of money
because this isn't like, again, I really like the DJ Reed signing, but I feel like Paulson through his career has shown spurts of being like a cornerback one. And I felt like this was an offseason where he's coming off an injury. And what was it? A femur, boys? Is that what he broke?
Broken
femur. So it's not like a tendon. So I'm not as concerned about him like having like regression returning from an injury. He's 25 years old. You look at the fit that he had in New Orleans, would fit perfectly in Detroit. And if you could get him on a multi-year deal, why he'd be cheaper than normal, I thought it'd be perfect. But then again, like, they brought in DJ Reed on a cheaper contract. So I'm not going to complain about, oh, you didn't get Paulson. That was just the guy where I said, New York. Like, you want to go to New York instead of winning a bowl?
Said it too. I saw the report said he wanted to be in like the big market. He was like, I want to be in New York, which is.
Hey, that money will make me want to be anywhere. If you get paid $18 million coming off a broken femur, that's pretty good for him.
To be honest,
and then real fast, the whole Sweat thing was never serious. Like, I know everyone was watching TV. I was watching the same thing. Like, guys, I think sometimes people, when they start writing stuff, like they conflate rumors and seriousness. Like, they were just speculating, like how we are. They're like, oh, Josh Sweat would be great, and I think that. Whoever overheard what they were overhearing might have been hearing another transaction, might have been hearing about Reed, might have been hearing about.
Yeah, it sounded like Dan Orlovsky said, like, it wasn't even Adam Schefter from the clip I saw.
Yeah. And so I think that people just wanted to get serious with it and things like that. And so I never really took that to be anything serious. I know that people want to play up the need for edge. And look, if one person says it, that's fine. But you'd always hear too, like, hey, this person's interested. Schefter doesn't like speculate on the air, like, oh, he's just going to say, hey, the line signed Sweat. You know what I mean? He's not the one that's going to be the one to kind of drop the hints. You know what I'm saying? He's more like, I know that Sweat signed with the Lions, and that's what he's going to deliver from the information. He's not more of a speculator and give out rumors type of person. So I never took that seriously. We never wrote that. I'd love the opportunity, but that money that he got, I don't think the Lions were going to commit. I just think that once you start to see the trend, I never thought the Lions just yet are going to commit big dollars to a free agent edge rusher, knowing that they got Aiden, they got Mekhi Wingo, they got Broderick Martin, and they got 2-3 more guys in the draft that they could add. The draft class is rated pretty well deep for the defensive line. And I think the free agent class just hasn't rated collectively as being that deep. So I think that the big names were going to command the big dollars. And I never thought Josh Sweat would be somebody that would be a fit here in Detroit. So I never took it seriously. So for those of you that read, I'm sorry for those of you that, because I've done it before. I've written rumors and stuff like that, but I've just written it from a perspective of somebody that said, hey, usually the code is someone will tweet out, pay attention to this person going to the Lions, and then you write it. So I never took it off a television show speculation.
Yeah, well, the thing that frustrates me, I at least so far, because I think there's still a chance. Like, I'll say, I completely understand contractually why they released Zadarius Smith.
Yeah,
but it's ironic that he's in free agency and he's probably the best edge available. Like, that's what makes it ironic, and it's a position of need, and he played here, and they know him. Like, so I'm left to assume, Doc, that there is a high likelihood, not that I know anything, that he has to be back, right? Like, he hasn't signed anywhere. You know what I mean? Like, you need an edge, and he's like a perfect guy.
But when you look at the depth chart, like, do teams typically have a Marcus Davenport and a Zadarius Smith? It's kind of the same deal. So the Lions are kind of taking a chance that Marcus is the same caliber of deliverance that Zadarius is. So that's what stinks, is that they have belief in that. So that's why for the price you go, well, you weigh it out. Yeah, I do think Zadarius is better, and I understand, but the age factor, the wear and tear over the course of a season, playing with Aiden. So I know guys, but you can't pay it. You can't pay everybody. You got some of those dollars that you wanted to give Zadarius are going to Kirby Joseph, and they're going to Aiden. Like, guys, here's the problem. When you started, you probably thought Aiden was around 35. Well, that got shattered quickly with Myles Garrett. You're like, oh no, because Aiden's going to be like, oh shoot, I need 41. I need 42. I need a lot more guaranteed dollars. So I just think that, I know Zadarius was good, and he got pressures and he got there, but collectively, I think you can get that combined with Davenport and a draft pick. I think you can match the production with a young, if you get the right guy. Remember, if you go, if we just say, fast forward to the draft, if we get at number 28 the first round guy, you're expecting to plug and play him.
He's supposed to play right away at 28.
Play him right away. So I would say if Za'Darius doesn't come back, you almost have to target 28 as being the edge rusher, or whoever it is. They feel like that it's not going to be a project. I don't believe any of the draft picks this year will be projects. They will all compete to start, and you can draft two defensive linemen in this draft class and be okay. Guys, it's Za'Darius Smith, but he's not the key. You're talking about the position, and that position still is needed to be filled, but you can fill with somebody else.
But the thing that frustrates me, Doc, is you had a guy in the building that you probably, and like I get why they cut him, but if you were to bring him back, I would assume it would be like a 1-year deal or whatever.
Yeah.
Which they could afford while everyone's cheap. I know like Kirby's contract would kick in, but just 1 year. The dude had a sack every 2 games in Detroit with no defensive line. All right. Like, we haven't seen anyone but Hutch accomplish that. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, oh, yeah, cool. Thanks for your services. All right, Marcus Davenport, even though we know how this story ends every year.
Yeah. But guys, he's a year older. Guys.
You wouldn't know it, though, Doc.
Hey, they're going to practice hard. You need a young – listen, guys, let's go young, okay? Listen, Za'Darius did what he was supposed to do. We paid him. He did his job. And unfortunately, the injury bug hurt at the worst time. He was going to be listen, if he posts thank you on social media, he was told.
I know.
He was told, you are here for this run. That's it. And he understood it. He knows it. And the Lions are not lying to these guys under any false pretense. They told him, hey, you're coming in and you're getting released. That's it. You win it. You win. Great. If you don't, it's just one of those deals. It's business. You got to go younger at that position. Guys, come on. You got to go younger. You got to go in the draft or get somebody in that 26 to 28 range at that spot. It's a dog position. And I do think that pay attention to the draft because
this rookie better get like 9 sacks.
And also, too,
that's the big thing.
You're
like you have to produce. Pressure's on.
You get a force there. You can line them up in multiple spots and have more flexibility. Guys, you got to remember, Za'Darius is a kind of a one-trick kind of deal. Go rush the quarterback. He's not going to do a whole bunch of other different things. The Lions want a little bit more flexibility from their guys.
That's what they need, though, Doc. They need guys that can get after the quarterback. And even like, okay.
You got that. You got Aiden. Now, the crazy part is, are they going to bring back Levi? I would be shocked if they did. But if they bring back Levi and they say, okay, we believe he's healthy, I think all of us are going to be like, But I think they believe that they got the guys in the building to do that. We don't believe it. But
I'll say if you run it back, Doc, with the same edge rushers or same defensive line you did last year and expect the same result.
You're not. You're getting I almost okay. I will
rookie though, even with the rookie, like
you're not running it back. You are getting a young stud. Like they know who it is, and they're going to try and get him. If they find him, they are getting him, and he will produce. All right, let's have a little bit of faith in Brad Holmes. The edge rusher they get.
Why not?
They will
Doc,
get someone.
Why not go out and get a Matthew Judon and then draft someone? Like, why not add one more piece? Like, you just saw what happened. Injuries. Like, the injuries were so bad. It's like, what happens if one guy, if Davenport, like, we're rolling the dice on Marcus Davenport to be some of your depth. There's an 80% chance Marcus Davenport doesn't play next year. So if that happens, you're just rolling with the rookie. You just have a rookie on the other side. What happens if your rookie isn't as productive as you would like him to be year one?
You're boned.
You're screwed. You're done. Season's over. You're not winning a Super Bowl, and it's because you have, like, in my opinion, like if they don't sign an edge in free agency that's like a Matthew Judon or is it Darius or one of these guys, Dante Fowler, I think that might be the biggest miss that Brad Holmes has had in his time in Detroit.
It could be one of those positions that he struggles with, the edge opposite of Aiden.
He played it too.
Right.
Yeah, his defensive line.
It's just not easy to do. So we shall see what veterans or not. But guys, and the other thing too, we got to make sure that you got to find the right fit to complement Aiden Hutchinson so that he's not getting all the attention. And, unfortunately, DJ Reader, didn't have the best of seasons. So we'll look at that and see what his contribution will be this year. Ali McNeil's got to come back. So listen, I know you guys are clamoring. We're all clamoring for it. So I'm going to depart, but I will say this, have hope that the defensive end position will be addressed with somebody, whoever it is. I'm going to put out the number because it just popped in my head. The rookie that pops up will have at least 6 sacks, and the linebackers will contribute as well to the pressures, and you'll try to find opportunities as well. And fingers crossed, because we got to do it. You just got to hope that if Davenport plays, there's a chance he'll be productive. So you just got to do the voodoo and hope that he's the guy that can stay healthy. He'll get you 6 sacks as well. So that's 12. And then you got to find the veteran that you guys want to get the next set of sacks. So it's the biggest question mark. I know everybody's clamoring for it. It will be identified. It won't be where everyone's like scratching their head because, great things come to those who wait. And I know we wanted it today. I wanted it today. But if we drag it out, let's see what happens. But I will keep until it ends. He's on the clock. He's got 48 more hours plus a little bit more time to see what's out there. And also, too, guys, remember, there could be some cuts that he finds from a team that gets the draft. Sometimes
you can
draft, the young player pushes out that 27 to 28-year-old that's on a roster that has a spot that's comfy now. So there's still time that it's not all lost if it doesn't happen. But I really believe the defensive end spot, the draft, will hit that for you where you guys will feel the excitement. And look, they just can't. They're not going to do it. I mean, I asked him, hey, what do you think about? He's like, he told me to my face. He's like, why don't I get 3 edge rushers? He's like, I can't do it. I can't pay it when Aiden wants $40 million a year. So if you want the other star edge rusher, tell Aiden, sorry about your extension. Sorry. It's
doesn't have to be a star. Maybe just a Za'Darius, like
Matthew Judon, 2-year, $12 million, 2-year, 14.
I like what they did with Carlton. They brought in a vet on an expiring deal, and they had a rookie, 2 rookies. I look at that as, okay, you have Aiden, great. I would like someone, okay, because I don't want to rely on a 21-year-old to produce 8 sacks, 10 sacks to get us over the top. I'd rather have someone you can lean on a little bit, let's say they don't make an addition. Besides the rookie, who's going to be second on this team in sacks with how many? Aleem with 6, they're fucked. You know what I mean? They need more than that. I'm not asking for Trey Hendrickson or Myles Garrett. I'm asking for a cheap 1-year flyer. You know what I mean?
You guys have got a great point. And no, I'm not butthurt. Brad can make all the points he wants. I asked a question. Yeah. I asked him directly. There are fans in this chat that want you, and there are 3 guys I'm talking to that want you to get the guy. And hey, you never know. Maybe Brad's cooking on Trey Hendrickson. You never know. He might be cooking. So we don't know. So Brad is free to share whatever. Listen, you guys think that in the chat that think that when you get pushback, I'm not. I'm just bringing it up because I brought it up to the man directly. I've said to Brad, hey, we all think, and if you would have asked me, I said, I think you're 1 guy away. I think you're potentially could have been a Myles Garrett away. But he said, I can't think like that. I have to look more globally because what happens if these guys get hurt like we did? He's got to look bigger. He's got to look in a spot where he knows he's got money allocated somewhere else. So he was honest, and he said, we're not going to ignore the trenches. It's a priority, but let's see, because I don't want him to have that reputation of great general manager but couldn't find the defensive line. It won't be that way. He will deliver. Let's just be patient and find out who's next. Your guys' names are great. I can't wait to recap how it shakes out on Wednesday. And pay attention to these guys. These guys are legit. They're bringing the noise. They're bringing the heat, and they're drawing attention. So I can't say anything more than keep doing what you guys are doing. You're making noise. People are like, hey, they're tagging you every day, hating on you. So it's great. Yeah. And real fast, if they ain't talking about you, you ain't relevant. So it's a good sign what you guys are doing. And anytime you have a reaction opinion, share it. And if you catch the attention of an NFL player, which was weird at that time of the night, and Luke is right there with them at 2:30 in the morning, like, yeah, let's do this. I'm like, what the fuck is this? You guys are debating at 2:30 in the morning. I'm like, these guys go to sleep.
Wild times, Doc.
Wild times, but you're catching the attention. That's a good thing. And I thought you handled yourself well with the pushback. You weren't disrespectful in any way. You just said, I just think better. And that's how a GM should always think, is that, hey, there should be some guys that you could always look to bring in to make your football team better. But I think Derek Barnes is going to be a part of the future and a good leader too. He has some great strengths. I think that he'll be the Anzalone role when he has the opportunity of being a leader, locker room guy, and the sum of the parts, a guy that you can plug in at different spots. But let's go. Free agency. It's frenzy.
I'm now, Doc.
Let's go, boys. Let's talk soon. I can't wait.
Go. We'll see you Wednesday, Doc.
How long are you guys going for? How long are you guys going for?
We'll go till about 9 o'clock. We'll be at about 6.5 hours.
Nice. Keep it going. Keep the grind. Always hit record, boys. Keep it going.
There you go. Love you, Doc.
Appreciate it, Doc.
And the myth, the legend, Mr. John Maakaron, joining the boys. Off shift. He just joined us just because.
Text him, say, hey, the boys are on.
That OT.
Just talking, just chatting it up.
Hey, what's going on there? It's Jeff Iafrate. Appreciate you for finishing the video. You can check out one of the videos here suggested or show support by commenting, liking, and subscribing. And buy your merchandise, FisherCTSports.com.